call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Dr. Bofi. Here. Dr. Bofi is present. Mr. Castile.
Here.
Mr. Castile is present. Dr. Davis.
Here.
Dr. Davis is present. Ms. Ellis.
Here.
Ms. Ellis is present. Mr. Garvey.
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Ms. Holloway.
Here.
Ms. Holloway is present. Mr. Mellerin. Mr. Mellerin is not present. Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Morris is present. Ms. Orange Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Orange Jones is present. Mr. Rock. Mr. Rock is present. Ms. Boucher. Ms. Boucher is not present. Ms. Tedesco. Ms. Tedesco is present. We have a quorum.
Okay, can we read our first item?
Your consent agenda is ready for approval, adding item 3.1 with the backup that's been distributed. We can get a motion to approve.
Move.
Second. Ms. Ellis. Mr. Garvey. Second by Ms. Davis.
Do we have a presentation?
No, that's just the consent agenda. Anyone opposed?
Hearing none, motion passes.
Your first item is on page,
Ms. Ellis,
Yes.
there was a request to take some things out of order. Ms. Davis, I think it was 5.1.
sure. You need a motion to take it out of order, Ms. Ellis?
Do we have a motion to take it out of order?
So moved.
Mr. Morris and Mr. Castile. So we'll start with 5.1. Anyone opposed? Hearing none?
Yep. All right, item 5.1, consideration of an update report regarding teacher recruitment and retention. The recommendation is to receive.
Do you have a motion? Second?
Who is this?
Mr. Garvey.
Yeah. Okay. Who was the maker of the motion? I'm sorry. Mr. Garvey in the second? We're kind of getting organized here, guys.
Mr.
Sorry
Castile.
about that. Castile. Okay. We're good.
Okay, Ms. Ellis, I will make a few comments. The board asked us a little while back, a few months ago, to bring forward information relative to the impacts of differentiated compensation models and what they look like, what they might be able to do, and how they are presently being implemented in various locations throughout the state. We have some speakers here from a couple of different school systems that have waited patiently all day to share some information within their own system that we have brought in as a department to share with you all. But briefly, I'd like to tell you that I had the opportunity in two different school systems to do this work. And what we ended up doing in both DeSoto and in Jefferson with community support was look at build differentiated compensation models that provided additional pay for teachers who worked in higher need schools, for teachers who had certifications that were in great demand according to the market, teachers who had higher levels of student performance, teachers who agreed to take on additional responsibilities such as mentors. And so those compensation models are in play in a number of different systems throughout the state. We have with us today Jeremy Hughes from Ascension Parish, who is going to come and share a bit of information about some of the differentiated compensation in Ascension. And we have Ms. Lisa Wolf from Caddo, who is also going to come and present some of the information that they are providing, or some of the details around differentiated compensation they're offering in Caddo. And also would like the board to be aware that we have commissioned a study along with SSA Consultants. You probably have that in the packet. They're going to do a statewide study for us on compensation models, which was part of the work of the Teacher Retention and Recruitment Task Force. It was one of the asks of that group. So they're going to do a compensation plan study for us, and so we'll have more comprehensive information for the board at a later date. And I think that will be well received by the board But I do want to take an opportunity just to ask these two system level administrators with us today, and we can start with Cato, just to share some information about differentiated compensation within your system.
I'd like to thank Dr. Brumley and Bessie Moore for allowing me this opportunity to come and share some of the things we're doing in Caddo. And also to thank the legislature and Bessie for getting the Louisiana Teacher Recruitment, Recovery, and Retention Task Force, because as you know, we have a critical teacher shortage. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to talk to you about three things: growing your own, a compensation study, and compensation and professional development. One of the things that the recruitment recommendations focused on was pre-educator pathway, implementing a campaign to elevate the teacher profession, invest and expand the parent-to-teacher model, and a strategy to increase the number of diversity in our educator workforce. Having said that, there are three things that we did with our pre-educator program. We have 2 students presently in the Call Me Mr. program, one at Northwestern State University, one at Grambling State University. These African American males that are majoring in education will be mentored for their 4 years, and we will continue our relationship with them. But anything that they need, resources, the Call Me Mr. program, will be working with them as well as Caddo. The next thing we have are 5 Educator Risings clubs in our high schools. We have 5 high schools that are participating with our area universities to work with these young people and encourage them to major in education. Those high schools are Huntington High School, BTW, Caddo Career Technology Center, and our North Caddo Academy. We know we have a signing day for all of our athletes. Why not have one for our Educators Rising? We have seniors, our high school seniors, that go to colleges and major in education, but we don't have a signing day. So we started our signing day. The first year, we had all of our universities come, and we had 6 young people participate. In May of this year, we had 30 that are going to colleges majoring in education. We talked to them about compensation. When they finish, they'll be able to come back in Caddo, and we won't start them on step 0, but on step 1. They're really excited about this. Now, the next part has to do with our tuition, assistance, and certification program. We have about 26 people that are working as paras that just cannot pass the praxis, but they want to be teachers. So we have enrolled 13 of those that are eligible, that would like to, in a program to get them certified. Also, we provide praxis tutoring and exam fees for those that need help in that area. But also add-on certification. Looking at our data, we had 2 areas of concern. Our math scores in our middle schools were dropping. We saw a data trend with that. We did not have enough special education teachers. So we looked at add-on certification and paying for that and helping our paras get into programs. We have the REACH program as well as Graham Teach with Grambling State University. The next thing we implemented was a Caddo Teaching Academy. It's district-run post-baccalaureate certification program. And we're really excited because this is our 7th year doing this. And we went through an audit and we were able to expand this program to get more certification for teachers in 4th through 8th grade. And we're excited because we have been able to retain 58 of the 72 participants in that program. They're still teaching with us. And we know teacher retention is very important. Also with our resident and post-baccalaureate mentor and residency, this is very important. We did a survey and the state introduced us to the Teach Upbeat, and we do this twice a year to see about curriculum instruction. Do they feel valued? Are they getting what they need to teach our boys and girls? But also addresses the teacher, the workforce, how they feel about the job and work related to their fulfillment. Will they stay in that school next year? So one of the things that we asked them was, what is most valuable to you, professional development or mentoring? And they said having a great mentor is even better than having professional development. So we are very fortunate to have mentors that have been trained by the LDOE, and we have a stipend for those mentors as well as those residents. Now, at present, we have 30 residents that are with us that started with the mentors in 2020 and 2021 school year. So we will be able to retain those residents into our district. Moving on to our compensation package. We have schools in Texas having these large billboards on your drive in Jewel, our main streets in Caddo, asking our teachers to come work in Texas. So what we started to do was the new teacher signing incentive. We hire between 200 and 250, we need at least 200 to 250 each year with retirements and people leaving the field. So we were able to, as of October 1, hire 251 teachers, and they received that $1,000. Why is that important? Because they have to work a whole month before they receive the first paycheck. So they found that really helpful. With our target school stipends, those schools that are hard to fill, back years ago, we had at least 5 or 6 teacher candidates for one position. Fast forward 4 years ago, we have 1 applicant for 5 or 6 principals trying for that 1 teacher. So it's very important that we offer those stipends of $2,500 teacher of core subjects and $1,000 for teachers of non-core to go to those target schools, those hard-to-fill schools. As I mentioned earlier, in our math area, certified math teachers of record teaching grades 6 through 8 math essentials, 9th grade intensive algebra and geometry, we offer them a stipend, but they have to be highly effective or effective proficient to be eligible. And then we look at student data. We have to make sure the students are growing. We also have a Caddo Gain stipend, and this will be upon completion of all compass evaluations, but it takes into consideration, did the school move their SPS? Do we see a growth? Did they participate in professional development provided at the district and school level? So these are just a few of the incentives that we offer. Professional development. We are in a crisis for teachers, but also workforce development. Prior to this year, we did not have money set aside for our professional development of our classified employees. So this year, we're proud to say we now have professional growth plans for our classified employees. We have an online platform for them to receive professional development and to grow them, because we want to improve their skill set as well. One of the recommendations from the task force was to develop a well-supported teacher induction program. We've had this program in place in Caddo, but we've expanded it to make sure it's not just one and done in the fall, but each month have a teacher induction for new teachers that are hired throughout the year, but also once a month have a professional development opportunity where they set the agenda on what their needs and based on teacher and supervisor observation as well to support these new teachers. In addition, one of the recommendations from the LDOE task force was to make sure that we provided work guidance for those people that we have in place, and to listen to what our constituents were saying. So what we've done was to have a diversity task force as well. Expand the teacher pipeline to support aspiring and current principals. We have begun a twofold internship program, one for teachers wanting to go into administration as a coordinator and assistant principal. We also have an induction program for those internship for those assistant principals and coordinators that would like to be a principal. So this is something that the state has encouraged us to do, and we're using ESSER dollars where it's appropriate, Title II dollars, and general fund dollars. But we all have to work together. And earlier, someone said, we can't keep doing what we've always done. We have to aggressively recruit, develop, and retain a competent, diverse workforce. And through our compensation efforts and our incentives, we hope to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Ms. Wolford, could you share a little bit about what you all are doing with middle school math stipends?
Yes. For those teachers that have, for each period, that they have the middle school math students, they can receive up to a $2,000 stipend. The students have to grow, the teachers have to be highly effective or effective proficient to receive this, but that is per section of math. And those are the areas, because what we were finding, we had to hire 44 additional math teachers to double block math. This is what was our area of refinement. And so we had high school teachers saying, I don't want to teach freshmen, or I don't want to teach remedial math for middle school. But then we had some elementary teachers that were interested, but because of the stipend, that helped them make the decision to go ahead and go and teach middle school math. There takes a special person to be a middle school math teacher. So that encouraged some of the high school teachers to embrace the middle school students, as well as those fifth grade teachers and sixth grade teachers to teach middle school math.
So Ms. Wolford, if I'm accurate, if they have satisfactory performance and they teach 5 classes a day, they would earn an additional $10,000
That is correct.
for teaching middle school math.
That is correct. And it has to be in a subject area where they're tested. So that's.
Mr. Morris?
So first of all, thank you for the focused effort to follow up on the work group's recommendations. Just a couple of quick questions. You mentioned 250 new hires. Where do they come from?
Glad you asked that. We do not get traditional candidates from our area universities, but they help us. So we have job fairs, and at every job fair, all of our area universities come and they work with us. Where we get them from? We have people that have graduated, they have their degrees, but they've never thought about teaching. So we get them in a program, and if they can pass their praxis, if not, we get them tutors to help them do that. So the non-traditional graduate, also those paras that we have in programs, and it's very exciting when you see a para that's worked alongside a teacher, especially those special education paras that want to teach, but they have not been able to pass the praxis, and we've had several this year to do that and pass, and now they're teachers. So non-traditional, we have gone to Barksdale Air Force Base, those retired military people that are coming out with degrees. Have you thought about teaching? So we're having to look at other places for our teachers.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Last question. What does your teacher shortage look like going into fall semester?
We are looking at possibly 90. And we have 90, we have about 2,426 teachers that we need. And right now, we train, when we do our new teacher induction, we have long-term substitutes. And sometimes we have to use those substitutes. We will look at and we're so excited to be able to bring some of our retirees back to be able to fill that gap, as well as looking at those paras that are passing, that will be able to go in those classrooms.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Castillo?
Couple things. First of all, I agree with your assessment that it requires a special person to be a middle school math teacher. Everybody knows my wife is a middle school math teacher, and I would agree with that. Do you codify, everything you just said is wonderful. How do you codify that? How do you publish it so that everybody knows it? Is it on your website? Is it a document? Does everyone know what your compensation policy is?
Yes, sir. We have on our website our teacher incentive plan, and we use this as a recruitment tool. I can get y'all a copy of that electronically for you. But also, we go to different types of job fairs where, just non-traditional. even if we had something at the Independence Bowl for a sports event, and we went, we recruited. Because as you know, with plumbers, electricians, I mean, it's the whole thing, classified and certified. We have a workforce shortage.
So if you've got a shortage of, say, 250 teachers, I'm not sure if that was the right
No,
number.
we hired 251, but right now, going in, we have a 90.
And you think the bulk of those 90 will come from those who are either paras or going through some alternative?
Going through our alternative. Our Caddo Teaching Academy, we have 23 that will come from that. Now, they have to be in that program for 2 years to get actually certified. But our Caddo Teaching Academy is the one that's been in place for 7 years, and we've had like 83% retention on that. So our retirees, our long-term subs, our Caddo Teaching Academy, we also use an online where it's called Elevate K-12 program, where we have teachers online that we contract with them, but we don't like to do that except for if it's like French 2 or French 3 or a specialized program like our North Caddo High School, where they may need something with welding or something that they don't have enough students for traditionally, that they'll have that teacher coming online, but not really. That's not a good example. Something like a foreign language or a computer class or something like that.
Calculus.
We do. At Baghdad High, we do, yes.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Wolford, I've made the drive you're about to make many times. And so if you would like, I can call Dr. Gorey and request that he authorize an additional night stay in Baton Rouge.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Jeremy News. I am the current Director for Human Resources for Ascension Public Schools. I started on March 3rd after being a principal for 5 years and then assistant principal before that, but I'm just walking through that to make the point that I too was a middle school math teacher. I very much enjoyed my time in that role.
You're not as special as my wife.
Not as special as your wife, no sir.
Maybe let's make a note here that Mr. Kent still got some major brownie points today.
And I'm here to share with you an initiative going on in Ascension Public Schools that began really before I began my tenure as Director for Human Resources under our Superintendent, Mr. David Alexander, and our Chief Instructional Director, Dr. Edith Walker, where we realized that in our district we have 4 feeder systems. There are 3 on the east side of the river, and there's 1 on the west side of the river where students move up K through 12 and then graduate from Donaldsonville High School. And in Donaldsonville High School, we've realized that the percentage of certified teachers in that feeder system is at 18%, which is remarkable, especially compared to the 3 feeder systems on the east side in our parish, where we have percentages of certified teachers on that side with 91%, 90%, and 98% of certified teachers. And so, as we think about who is teaching in our feeder system, we also realize that teachers make a difference of what's going on in the classroom, and experienced teachers bring even more value to their students. And as we look at what's going on in our Donaldsonville feeder system, we have 48% of the students in that feeder system being taught by teachers with 0 to 3 years of experience, compared to 14, 21, and 8% of teachers in the other 3 feeder systems that also have that few years of experience. And so we wanted to do something that would entice teachers to cross that Mississippi River Bridge. Yes, it's very high, yes, it's tall, but we know that we can have a positive impact for those students as well. And so what we've done is we are offering a $10,000 bonus for teachers that will teach in that feeder system. Those teachers, if they are a established teacher, a veteran teacher, there are requirements for the level of their evaluation in order to qualify for this supplement. But we've also done something creative here that we are not planning to break that stipend up into 12 payments, tax it and retire it, and give it in each monthly installment. Instead, we are providing that in 4 equal payments at the beginning of each 9 weeks. It's a supplement. It's important, as we talk to our human resources lawyers, that is not seen as a bonus, so we cannot offer it on the back side of the work. It has to be on the front to meet legal requirements. And so our school board has dedicated $1.7 million to fund this initiative to provide these certified teachers in this feeder system. Looking at our overall budget, it is a small investment. It's going to make up just 3% of the salaries that are going to be in our budget. And we know that we are seeing some changes that are a result of this stipend. Immediately when the board approved this supplement, this was after April 1st, and April 1st is the deadline to put your name on the transfer list. And teachers that were in the Donaldsonville feeder systems began pulling their name off the transfer list. They decided that they would stay another year. We also see teachers putting in transfers, although in smaller numbers, to go to that side. And we also see teachers expressing interest from neighboring parishes to come in. And so we know that this will be something that, while if every teacher in this feeder system were certified and receiving this bonus, that would be $1.7 million. But we know that for the next year, we will not be spending that entire allocation. We hope that this will be something that grows. I do want to point out that the $10,000 is for our core classes. You can also earn a stipend if you are teaching an elective class. That's $2,500 for the year. And then also we are interested in bringing in paras as well. And so we have a stipend for them if they are interested in working in this feeder system.
Mr. Castillo?
I may have missed it, but is that working? Are you attracting lots of teachers with that $10,000 bonus to go over into that area of Ascension where you have the deficit?
It is, we are attracting some teachers. I don't know that I'll call it lots yet. I do believe as a former principal that one teacher starts the chain. When you have one teacher come over and see how it works, and I know Annalise can speak to this as well, that when you have that talent come over and come back and report to friends that this is an incredible place to work with supportive administration and community, that we'll have more come over. But as I mentioned, the teachers that are already there that had expressed interest in leaving to transfer to the other 3 feeder systems in Ascension Parish have decided to not transfer, that they're going to stay. And we are seeing some interest in going to that side of the river as well.
Your comments are incredibly important for several reasons. One, it really highlights the disparity in resources even within a parish, where you got one part of the parish with 91% certified teachers and another part of the parish with 18% certified teachers. To me, that sounds like a problem. And when I think about that in the context of our discussions around accountability, about raising the bar in terms of standards, I wonder how we factor that in, because we're holding school districts accountable when you've got that level of disparity, and even with $10,000, maybe you should call it bonuses, but I'll call it bonuses because I'm not a lawyer in this context. But with $10,000, you've only gotten one so far. And maybe you'll get more, but one new. I understand that you were able to retain. But even with those sorts of dollars, it's still difficult. So I appreciate your comments for lots of reasons, but I do want to highlight the fact that it's difficult.
I totally agree with you. In the research that we found as we presented to our elected school board, There was some findings that we found of, teachers that become more experienced and more effective tend to self-select to go to more successful schools. And so while they've earned those accolades at a school that is not as successful as others, they then choose to leave. And so we want to put things in place that encourages them to stay and to bring other effective teachers into the fold with them. I think that this is an incredibly innovative way to look for bringing talent.
I hate to say it, but I think you're going to be quoted over and over again for reasons why you probably didn't make the presentation, but just excellent points. Thank you.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes, I didn't hear you mention that. I hope I didn't miss it. The West Bank School is the one that's having trouble attracting highly experienced teachers.
Yes, sir.
What is its school performance score or grade compared to the East Bank schools? I imagine it's lower.
It is lower, and so I believe, our West Side schools in Dawsonville are performing lower than our East Side schools as far as specific SPS. I wouldn't be able to quote those for you. I know that all four of our high schools in the district, including the one on the west side, are performing very well. I want to say that they're all A's. But our lower grade levels are not at that level. They're C's. So we're looking for ways to bring in effective teachers that can help with that. And in fact, as we looked, we chose some students almost at random to think about their education progress through their career. And as we looked at their records and as we looked at who had actually taught them, we found that there were students that had progressed in grades 1 through 5 with only having 1 or 2 certified teachers for their entire career. And so that's something that we want to be aggressive and look for creative ways to address.
And Mr. Castillo said that only one teacher came in because of this bonus?
There's more than one. I'll say that our greatest success has been getting teachers to stay in the council.
And how many have stayed, did you say?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. That's significant?
That's significant for that staff level. That feeder system is only 131 teachers total.
So you think that this is going in a good direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, bringing experienced teachers into low-performing schools. I would imagine the income level in the low-performing school is lower than the average income level in the...
Less than a third, yes, sir.
Okay, so getting more experienced teachers into low-income areas, that sounds great too. Whose idea, where did this idea come from? Was it a school board member? Was it the superintendent?
I'll give the credit to Dr. Edith Walker, our Chief Instructional Officer. I think Chief Director of Instruction is her official title. Her and her instructional team really did the research on this and brought forward this proposal.
And did they look at another state? Where did they research this?
We have tried things in the past. We've done a $1,500 bonus in the past to try to entice teachers to come to the West Side. And we did split that over the 12 months. And so we found that to really not make a difference. And so we wanted to try something radically different to see if that would get us somewhere.
And was this an idea that they saw happening in another state, differentiated pay, or was it Caddo that brought it to their attention, or do you know?
If I can't speak to how they came up with it, yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
I was trying to get clarification. First thought was it a recruitment tool or recruitment and retention?
Yes.
And then I heard you say that you were able to keep 4 teachers, but you had 131 total. So I'm trying to understand how that works.
So on the west side, for the feeder system, the Downsville High School system, so that includes Downsville High and 3 schools that work up to Downsville High School. That's 131 teachers total. And so not all of those, and we know that 18% of those teachers are certified as of last year. To be placed on our transfer list as per policy, you have to be a certified teacher on a regular contract. And so we had several teachers in the Downsville feeder system request to leave the Downsville system and they have pulled their name off of that list, is where that number's coming from, those 4 that have decided to stay. It certainly is a retention tool. It certainly is also a recruitment tool. You know, as we go into universities, as the previous speaker was saying, it's something that we're advertising to get more certified teachers into those schools.
And obviously the board that stayed was because they were going to get the $10,000 supplement.
That's right.
The ones that got the $10,000 supplement, that group of existing staff were certified teachers in particular subjects. You guys put specific criteria on that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
More discussion? No?
Thank you, Mr. Muse, I appreciate it. And just for the board's awareness, you were a finalist for Louisiana Principal of the Year last year, correct?
I'm the middle school principal of the year for 2022.
So congratulations.
All right. Okay. All right, anyone opposed? We have a motion? Nope. All right, hearing none, motion passes. Next item.
Okay, we'll go back to the regular order. Which is item 4.1, no, 2.1, excuse me, page 1. Consideration of a report regarding the certification of teacher shortages in critical shortage areas submitted by local education agencies. Need a motion to receive.
So moved.
Ms. Bofi, and seconded by Mr. Morris. Any board discussion on this item? Public comment? Opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Next item is on page 5, item 4.1. Consideration of revisions to Bulletin 746. Regarding the process for appeals related to educator certification requirements. The recommendation is to approve as notice of intent.
Got a motion? Mr. Garvey, second. Mr. Rock? Discussion? Opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Next item, page 7, 4.2. Consideration of revisions to Bulletin 746 regarding literacy requirements for educator credentials. Recommendation is to approve as notice of intent.
Motion, Mr. Garvey, second. Mr. Rock? Discussion? Opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Next item, page 13, and you have amended backup that has been distributed. Consideration of revisions to Bulletin 746 regarding the geometry exam and certification endorsement as amended. The recommendation is to approve as an emergency rule as well as a notice of intent.
Second motion. Mr. Garvey, second by Ms. Holloway. Any discussion?
Ms. Davis, I know Superintendent Moshe had.
Yes, Mr. Garvey, I think, has something to
Right.
add.
You had the language?
Oh,
There you go, Mr. Garvey.
that's like a play, okay? Put it on a play.
I just told you.
Let me get you something out of my spiral notebook.
Okay, I would like to direct the Louisiana Department of Education to include as notice of intent and declaration of emergency revisions to Bulletin 746, Section 1341, Algebra 1, to align with the same requirements as the current geometry add-on certification and bring for consideration at the August 2022 Educator Effectiveness Committee meeting.
Okay.
Can I see that? I'm sorry.
Did I read it wrong?
No, you didn't read it wrong. I just had to have it under, okay. Yes, so you're directing them to bring policy in August regarding algebra certification.
Like the one we have in front of us.
Got it. Okay, did we get a
Do
second?
we have it? Yeah, can I get a second? Mr. Morris?
So we have really two motions on the floor.
Right.
So let's clear that, like for
Let's clear the
geometry.
Geometry. Any opposition, public comment, none of that? Hearing none? Motion passes. Now, next motion, is that first and second?
Direct the department to bring back algebra certification. We got it first, now we need a second.
Mr. Morris did.
Okay, anybody opposed?
Any opposition? Hearing none? Motion passes.
All right, next item is consideration of executive session regarding discussion of the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of a person for Ms. Rowe, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Shake Snyder.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session? Multiple people, Mr. Garvey and Dr. Davis. Any public comment or more discussion on this matter before we take roll? In order for this motion to pass, 2/3 affirmative vote of members present is required. May I have a roll call vote?
Dr. Bofi?
Yes.
Dr. Bofi votes yes. Mr. Castile?
Yes.
Mr. Castile votes yes. Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Davis votes yes. Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey votes yes. Ms. Holloway?
Yes.
Ms. Holloway votes yes. Mr. Halloran is not in attendance. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Morris votes yes. Ms. Orange Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Orange Jones votes yes. Mr. Rock?
Yes.
Mr. Rock votes yes. Ms. Bochet is not in attendance. Ms. Ellis? Would you like to vote?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Ellis votes yes.
I will advise the audience that we will be in executive session for the length of time necessary for the discussion. No vote will be taken while the board is in executive session. All votes will be made in public. Additionally, public disclosure is not required of matters discussed in a properly held executive session. At this time, the Educator Effectiveness Committee stands in recess to go into executive session.
All in favor?
To reconvene the Educator Effectiveness Committee. Motion by Mr. Castile, seconded by Mr. Rock. At this time, I need a motion to continue with the regular order of the agenda to vote on the items discussed in executive session. Motion made by, can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to grant.
First, we gotta get to.
Yeah, Mr. Garvey, and seconded by Mr. Rock. I think he did.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to grant the certification for the individuals considered in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the reinstatement of the credentials for, this is reinstatement for all of them. The reinstatement or issuance, or the issuance, for all of those that came before us, Ms. Bro, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Shea Snyder. We have a motion, second.
Second, Mr. Rock.
Yes.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
That concludes your agenda. Ms. Holloway, what time?
Now,